What is going on, everybody? So recently I got a chance to finish the Halo TV show, and man, even though I went into the show with no expectations, I still came out disappointed in this bitch. Let me explain how disappointed I felt. It's like promising the fat kid that you're gonna bring him his favorite junk food, but instead you give him like broccolis and shit like that. That's how disappointed I feel with this show. Now, before I shit on the show real quick, I want to get into the pros. Pro number one, the action scenes were actually not that bad. If you ignore the bad CGI that sometimes you can see in the show, or some of the goofy shit that happens, like, I don't know, a character starts running somewhere and then acts really stupid or something. If you just ignore that, the action scenes are kind of fun to watch, actually. And actually, it's the only thing that feels like Halo in this entire show. Not only that, but when it comes to the story, there's actually moments where it feels like it could have gotten interesting if they put a little more thought to it. Now that's honestly all the pros I got for the show. Now let's begin. Let's bend this bitch over and stick it to her. Now the one thing I could not understand was the idea of humanizing Master Chief, and I know 343 Industries did it, but like, to be fair, I wasn't even a fan of that either. But at least the pass I can at least give it is that it happened later on in the games, you know? So that's like the only write-off it gets for me. The show, just like right from the beginning, episode 1, Master Chief, you know, like there's this character Quan, and she just like, oh, you know, I'm gonna kill you, bitch, or whatever. And then he's like, well, hold up, I got an idea. I know how to not have you kill me. I'm gonna take off my helmet and I'm gonna tell you, hey, if you want to shoot me right here. And it's so stupid because I get that he's trying to gain her trust, but I don't know. I just thought like there could have been so many better ways. And honest to God, him taking off the helmet felt so weird because it wasn't a moment that felt like empowering or whatever the fuck, you know? Nothing about it felt, you know, like it was deserved or anything like that. Like nothing like that. You know, it's not like how the Mandalorian did it, you know, when it came to taking off his helmets. There's so much wrong with this show. I'm just gonna say it, man. I feel like the show is just fucking boring most of the time. There's like 3 action scenes we get with the Covenant through this entire show. There's 9 episodes. Each one is like an hour long. Most of the time we're just exploring all this goofy shit about, hey, you know, Master Chief is a human being, you know, he got problems too. You know, I don't know, bro. Like, honest to God, Master Chief just comes across as a fucking pussy in the show. It blows my mind. How do you take a badass character and you make him feel like this little fucking princess going through this identity crisis? Like, what the hell? Like, Master Chief did not feel badass at all. I mean, maybe when he's fighting against the Covenant, but like other times, like, he just like so whiny. And there's been a couple, like, I don't know if it was 2-3 times where he tries to kill Dr. Halsey, and I just feel like, you know, if you're trying to kill somebody, wouldn't they just be like, all right, we're gonna fucking terminate you? But no, we gotta make sure we figure out what the fuck this artifact is that we're gonna spend most of the show talking about, and then there's gonna be people like me that don't give a shit what this thing is because, you know, we're just trying to see the actual plot. Like, here's the thing that drives me fucking nuts, right? So check this shit out, right? Through the entire show, there's been multiple times in this show where I forgot that the Covenant was a problem, you know? Because, you know, in the games, the Covenant is a threat. Covenant is trying to commit a genocide against human beings, and human beings need to come together, set their differences aside, and fight against the Covenant in order to survive. And in this show, nothing's like, it doesn't even feel like that. The Covenant just feels like a bunch of like people on the side that like, you know, they're bad guys, but that's not a real problem, you know? The show's so focused on telling you that UNSC, big bad and all that, and you guys should care about all these fucking characters that they throw at you. Like, dude, Quan is a character, I swear to God, I feel like you can just cut her out completely and I feel like you don't miss anything. This show actually it feels like it went on forever. Like, I got so bored out of my mind watching some of the things that was happening in the show, of like all the explaining like, hey, this and that's happening and blah 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 or whatever. But then there was just, it felt like they did it so much that I actually fell asleep a few times watching this show, because it personally felt like they kept dragging on things that I feel like didn't need to be explained too long. I feel like they focused too much on certain characters that I feel like nobody would give a fuck about. And I gotta say, Cortana, when they introduce her, I don't know, I feel like she comes across as fucking annoying. I don't know. And it's like, seeing Master Chief and Cortana just feels like, it just feels like step brother, step sister, you know, arguing all the time until they end up fucking, you know. That's what it just feels like. And speaking of fucking, I gotta say, look, I don't care that our boy Master Chief got to clap some cheeks and all that. I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. But the person he ends up clapping the cheeks to, like, that just was so fucking weird. There's no real, like, I mean, I'm not expecting any, like, deep romance or whatever, but it really seemed like that's what they were trying to shoot for, and there's like no real chemistry. It just happens, like, and like she goes up to, like, this Covenant girl, I even forgot her fucking name, goes up to Master Chief and like, Master Chief, you are special, and Master Chief gets a hard on, and it's like, whoa, Dr. Halsey said the same thing to me, but not like the way you said it. Oh, Jesus Christ, dog. Honest to God, look, the story is a story that I did not give a flying fuck about. Like, I just feel like it didn't make me care. It just made me lose interest. And you know the problem with this show? It feels like a generic sci-fi. It is a generic sci-fi. What the hell am I saying? It's got the, like, fucking cliches, generic, like, cringy, generic dialogue. And just, like, I feel there's actually been times where I predicted how some of these things were gonna go, and it ended up happening the way I thought it would happen. Like, for example, one of the characters, like, I think her name is Kai, you know, crashes, like, you know, and then you think, and the show's making you feel like, oh my gosh, she died, but then I was like, oh my god, watch her survive that shit, and then she pops out the blue like, oh, I'm still alive, everybody, and, you know, needless to say, that was one of the few times I felt sad about the show. You know, that's the only time the show ever made me feel. With characters that I don't care if they survive or not, actually lived, and speaking of living, like, look, I'll give the show some credit. The Spartans in the show kind of seem pretty cool, and I feel like they had their moments to shine sometimes, but, like, there was, like, towards the end where they were getting their asses fucked up, you know? One had a plasma grenade stuck on him, blew up, and I guess they survived that. One, like, I'm actually surprised how many times Spartans survived situations that I felt like they should have died from. And speaking of never dying, there's actually time where one of them had their helmets off, Master Chief being one of them, because he never seems to wear his fucking helmet ever, and they're getting their ass kicked by other Spartans, right? They're just getting the fucking pounded, and you figure with, you know, the Spartan armor has got to be pretty damn heavy, right? So you figure that massive punch has got to feel like getting hit with a fucking giant sledgehammer, right? They should be in a fucking coma, or basically dead at that point if they gotten that many hits to the head, or they should just be brain dead at this point. I don't even know. Like, dude, honest to God, the purpose of Master Chief for the video games was just a vessel that we play to explore the Halo universe. And trying to humanize him just didn't work. You know, it didn't work for the show. And if you wanted to, maybe you could have humanized him later in the show. But I just feel like you're trying to give character development for something. When you're introducing a character, we don't know this character. So make us care about this character instead of having it feel like a fucking soap opera in space. I feel like I can go on forever talking about everything that's wrong with this show, but, like, I don't know. I don't want to do a massive breakdown because it would require me showing clips and, you know, seeing what Paramount has been doing lately, taking down videos because they don't seem to like criticism. So I'm going to play it safe. Just, you know, give my opinion, how I personally feel about the show. The show for me overall is pretty boring, pretty mediocre story. You get some bad CGI and some very, very cringy dialogue. Like, I'm telling you, it's not like it's your typical sci-fi type of dialogue. The end of the show, like the last episode, Cortana takes over Master Chief's body, and I'm gonna say something right now where I feel personally offended, is Cortana acts more like Master Chief than Master Chief himself. And look, man, I'm not gonna, like, you know, bash on Pablo over here, because he is a good actor, and I feel like he did the best he could with the shit that he was given. And it's just kind of unfortunate to know that you can get yourself a good actor here, but if you don't got a good script, there's like really no point. But yeah, y'all, I don't know. I feel like there's so much for me to talk about, but I just kind of want to give you the basic understanding of the show, of why it's just not good at all. You know, it spends so much time telling you about this artifact, and Master Chief is a person that had, you know, that was a real person, you know, he had a family, he was a child, and blah fucking blah, right? And then you know, you got Quan, and I don't know, dude, it's just like, you know, the only time I was excited to see Quan is the times where I thought she was gonna die, but, you know, whatever, you know, the show doesn't perform miracles, I guess. But I don't know, man. If I had to give the show a rating, I gotta give it a 2 out of 10, like on some Pokemon shit, you know. But I don't know, y'all. And look, I don't want to be mean. And like, if you like the show, cool. Although I wouldn't understand why, because it's just so fucking bland and boring. This show's a sci-fi drama. This is what this is. This is not a Halo. Like, this is not based on Halo. Nothing about this show feels like Halo. This is a sci-fi drama. It's about a fucking kid. I'm sorry, excuse me. It's about a guy who is supposedly a killing machine. And, you know, and then, you know, this artifact makes him reconnect his memories and blah, blah, blah. He goes through this journey of trying to figure himself out. He gets mad if another Spartan tries to do what he's doing, even though that's a big fucking hypocritical thing to do. Then, you know, he wants to get at the ones that, well, I shouldn't even fucking bother. I'm just gonna tell you this much, bro. There's just no point of watching this show. This show can go fuck itself, and that's all I gotta say. But yeah, if you guys like hearing me blab on or whatever, you should definitely subscribe, because, you know, it's definitely the new thing, and you'll definitely, you know, grow some inches on your penis if you do. So I appreciate you for watching. I love you. Hugs, kisses, XO, blowjob. All right, good night.